So my tennis friends like to we have conversations. We go to the bar after. It's really, really fun. And we were doing this thing where a guy and I kept one-upping each other with very complicated words. And they were just being like, what is this fucking word of the day? And I was like, absolutely. This is what it is. Every Sunday at the pub, it's word of the day.
Obsequious is a word that I like very much. I basically use it to describe Boris Johnson as much as I possibly can.
So, say it again. What is it?
Obsequious.
Obsequious.
And obsequious, we are live.
I found it. Obsequious.
Give us the definition to start the show. What's the definition?
It's obedient or attentive to an excessive or servile degree. I mean, yeah.
He is obsequious to himself.
Yeah, that's a few other things. Maybe.
Yeah, as well. If it hadn't have been for Cotton Eye Joe, I would have been married a long time ago. Hello, we are Pixel Pints. We are the only podcast that we know of in the world who talk about two things that we enjoy, which is good beer and video games. We're not here to promote drinking. Please drink responsibly. Please Cotton Eye Joe responsibly as well, if that's even a thing. Country dance responsibly. Clegg responsibly as well, if you're in a certain part of the world. Yeah. Nice. I totally threw myself on the intro. You can follow us on social media, on Twitter at @pixel_pints, where you'll see when we go live and when we archive our episodes. You can see our archives on youtube.com/pixelpints. And you can follow us on Instagram, where I mainly post about beers and some gaming clips, which I've got. And I've got one of Evan that I'm going to do a VO for, and I think people are going to like it very much. And that is Pixel Pints Pod on Instagram. You can also get the audio versions of our podcasts on Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and Anchor.fm, where Anchor do all the work and we don't bother. Thanks, Anchor. 2 thumbs up. Right, quick round the room.
Well,
Liam, how are things with you?
Liam, you see what we did there? We left him drowning. We didn't throw the life vest. We just let him drown there with the intro. How was it?
Oh, I wasn't concentrating that much. I'd never abandon Keith. Not on purpose, anyway. Most definitely.
So what you were saying is you were being reckless on the job and like playing too much video games on your like Switch or something, ignoring Keith going, "Save me, save me."
He'd be off the side of the boat screaming for help, and I'd just have my headphones on.
Oh, he was the Vita. You're the Vita girl. You're the Vita girl in The Last of Us Part 2 that just sits there while Ellie just sneaks up on her and just stabs.
Yeah. All I wanted to do was escape this apocalypse and play some JRPGs.
Although,
no, it was
truthfully,
Hotline Miami.
I wouldn't be stupid enough to, the protagonist of the video game. Oh yes, I'm going to go forwards into this person like an idiot and then get stabbed in the neck. You know, just like give me my Vita back, sit back and play. You know, have a good time.
How do they charge it?
Generators.
Yeah, they did have electricity at that place.
Okay, I was just
generators all over this game.
They take it in turns to get on bikes.
No, well, they like generators, and then at the facility in the stadium there were solar panels.
Okay, I don't care enough. I just thought I'd try and pick holes in the game.
Nice try.
My bad is a phrase I've heard the kids like to use. I find it somewhat obnoxious because they don't really mean sorry. It's just going, oh, my bad.
Yeah, the definition of sorry nowadays has kind of changed a little bit. Like it's more like
Boris Johnson, you toffish bastard.
You know what sorry is sorry is supposed to mean? I apologize, I did the thing. I'm going to try not to do it again, or just not do it again in general.
But it's also meant to qualify remorse.
Yes.
which most of the time people don't.
And people just are like, they're just saying sorry to say sorry, not saying sorry to say, like, I really mean I won't do this again, or I won't try to do this again. But most of them, they just do it again.
Like if you were, say, a member of parliament and you were sat in the chamber watching porn on your phone and then got caught, and then you said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it just came up when I was looking at tractors." What kind of porn are you watching? It sparked some excellent memes. It sparked some excellent memes. Like my favourite one, we have tractors that come in various different colours, but our most popular is the 50 Shades of Grey range. I
haven't heard about this scandal. This is hilarious.
Oh, this is so British. It's hilarious. He tried to cover it up and said he was looking at tractors because he's from the West Country.
It's not as funny as like we have a congresswoman right now that's on like the stand because she is trying to defend not getting kicked out of Congress to be able to like redo it again because the insurrection on January 6th. And they just keep asking her questions. She goes, I don't recall. And then she answered one of them and she answered it incorrectly under oath. And they're like, let's show the tape. Oh, wait. I meant, and it's like, oh my God, lady. Wow. Whew. Receipts. When they come up, this is the issue with those people.
Well, it's entitlement.
I was going to say, Keith, are you surprised that guy stepped?
No, because he had to. When it came out that he'd actually looked at so I could understand. No, I can't understand. I don't even know why I'm trying to defend the fat bastard.
Is he from your region? Does he represent you?
No, he represents. Was it Tiverton and somewhere else in Somerset? So he tried to fob it off by saying, "Oh, it was just once. It was an accident whilst I was on a page looking at tractors." But it turned out that he did it again. So as soon as that came out, it's like, no, you're just a lying scumbag who was doing something dodgy when you shouldn't have been.
I did not know that part. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Okay. You see, my methodology here was, make excuses until the very end.
Well, that's what he tried to do. He tried to play the whole Boris Johnson card of, I've referred myself to the Parliamentary Standards Committee and I want to wait for the outcome of the investigation. But then it turned out that it's like, no, you got spotted doing it multiple times. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to get through this, am I? He would have got a call from Conservative Party head office saying, get out of this, you're causing too much problems. And your people are starting to read through the Boris Johnson defence because you're an idiot.
He completely skipped the I'm going to see a psychiatrist phase,
Yeah, there was none of that. He said it was highly embarrassing, and it was most embarrassing for him and his family. He's like, yeah. That's not part of an apology, you absolute numpty.
Oh, here's sorry. Last thing. Here's the other peeve I have. It's a sorry, and then they say but right after it. Basically, what that means to me is you're not sorry. You're trying to make an excuse for why you are, quote unquote, sorry. And it's like, no. You either be genuine sorry, and then you can explain why you did what you did, even though you feel bad about it. But saying but after it makes it just gut punch in the stomach of being like, So that's my
everything
other pet peeve.
Before the but is bullshit.
Exactly. That's what I believe. So
don't apologise unless you mean it.
So I'm moving on to one of the most brilliant people who I know, but isn't here. You set me up for that one. Mitch, how are things in La La Land? Do you have your own sitcom yet?
No, I wish. That would be great. Things are good. Things are really good. I did finish one game in one night, which is this game in one night, and I remembered why it was.
That's the order 1886 to everyone who's listening.
There you go. I do have to switch this camera over so that when we put things to the screen, it actually flip-flops it. Remind me to do that in future casts for all of us. I'll just flip our, whatever you call it, flip our cameras. Just because I know we like to hold beers up to the screen and it always comes out funky because it's not in correct lining. Anyway, played that for a night. Huh?
It's not in correct focus, but also focus.
Oh, I didn't mean focus. I meant it was an incorrect
Proportion.
You
I'm
can't
just going
read
to keep
it.
saying words. Move on.
Anyways, trying to come up with the word of the day again, Keith. Come on.
Nope.
You only get one shot at it. So I played that for 7. I think I finished it in 7 hours. I think playing that game, it reminded me though of like why I know people really didn't like that game, but then it also reminded me of why I really liked the game. So I'm still disappointed there's not a sequel, because I feel as if this reminded me of, there's a lot of games that remind me of Uncharted 1. And, Uncharted 1's not a great game. It's just a good game. Good to like, okay. Like the basic mechanics are there. The bones are really good. And it does make some mistakes because it's the first game they've ever made with that engine and all that kind of stuff. And on the PS3 in general. So that's what I felt like the Order 1886 was. And they got the benefit of doubt of getting a sequel. Now I know Naughty Dog was owned by Sony at the time. Ready at Dawn is not owned by Sony. But I feel as if they should have deserved a second chance to like build upon what they did, because I think they could have made something awesome.
Sony have thrown more money at worse projects.
Exactly. That's why I was very shocked by that. But anyway, and then this last weekend, I've really been pushing to get Horizon done. I play a lot of open world games where I try to do everything in the very beginning, and then what happens is I get bogged down by all the stuff that I end up losing the premise of why I'm playing it in the first place, and going like, this game sucks, it's so boring, like I'm so frustrated, this is so long, it's gonna take forever. And then I realize, oh, I just need to beeline the main story and find out that I'm like so high leveled that like I get through a lot of the main stuff so quickly, and I'm like, oh, it's so rewarding that I did like this. But what I did was I've been playing all the side quests, because I've heard great things about the side quest. 1, 2, I do need to keep leveling up as I go. And the side quests are really good. They remind me of The Witcher 3, which is, I think the side quests in The Witcher 3 are better than the main story in so many ways. Like the main story in The Witcher 3 is Godsmack awful. But I really do enjoy the side quests. I think they have really interesting plot points, twists and turns. This one does similar things. I don't think they're as complex as The Witcher, but I think they're still really good.
Have you come across any kind of really wacky, out there, batshit crazy ones like there was in Zero Dawn? Because one of the most memorable side quests in that game for me was the hermit who you find who wants to become one with the machines, and he does it by drinking their fluid, and you go out and get him stuff, and then he ends up killing himself.
No, I haven't found any crazy ones. They've all been really interesting. They've been multi-tiered, which has been really cool. So like you get one mission, it leads to, like, I'll give you an example of one where I got sometimes when you go to different outposts, there'll be like this person that gives you the rumor of like, rumor has it, like, check out this area, and it'll mark it on your map and stuff, which is kind of cool.
That's a cool approach. Yeah. I prefer that kind of organic approach to open worlds rather than his tower, unlock everything.
Right. And you can find it naturally, or you can or the rumor will tell you it. Like it's a good compromise for people that don't want to instantly go to the tall necks and then just unlock the tall neck, because also in some aspects you can unlock the tall neck without certain tools or without certain and the tall necks themselves are awesome because they also are not the same. It's not like you just climb to this point and then you climb the tall neck. Actually, each tall neck has a different type of strategy of how you need to tackle the tall neck, which is very interesting. I love it. One of them I had to like take anchors and basically anchor it down, but then in between that time I had some combat scenarios of machines trying to take me out. But anyway, it's a good compromise in that way. But like one of the side missions that was super interesting was like I went to a village. I got a rumor that was told that the village was, I haven't heard from it in a while. Can you go check on it? Went to go check on it. It's all flooded. And then so you're finding groups of people being like, help me, can you help us get access? And so like I'm doing a lot of different cool things. I'm not going to spoil some stuff because some of the stuff you do is pretty nifty. And then one of them is like, hey, I'm looking for this specific person. Have you seen them? you end up finding them. I'm not going to say the ending of it because it was interesting, but you found them, and literally that side mission took a good like 20 minutes, and it was a mix of combat, it was a mix of traversal, it was a mix of puzzle solving. It was really good. I really liked it. So I've been enjoying myself.
Into some of the more colorful bugs that I've heard are in the game.
I think because I'm playing, I've waited so long to play. I haven't ran into like some horrible ones. I have ran into a few. You know, there's obviously the traversal, which I think is like, I appreciate them trying to expand the traversal, but in some ways I really don't like it. I think in some ways it's really bad.
So by traversal, do you mean the new elements that they brought in, like the gliding or the...
No, just the climbing. It's the climbing in general. It's more of that they changed the aspects of what you can climb to, the actual surfaces, but they're labeled, and Aloy sometimes won't hook on them correctly. Sometimes she'll miss them completely. Sometimes she'll bug out and kind of like twitch and not reach for the handle.
Oh, I've seen some of those on
it's just really inconsistent, and I do love the other ways they've expanded it. Like, I do love the grapple, and I do love the glider, and I think they could have done that without expanding the climbing in certain ways. But I mean, in my mind, this game overall is kind of like, and I'm not done with it yet. I'm still, I don't know where I'm at, but I feel like I'm pretty far. I'm at level 32, and I think you need to be about level 40 tops to be able to do the final boss, probably, if it's like the last game. So I'm 3/4 of the way through. So I what I do think is, like, in my mind, I think this is Assassin's Creed 2. Like, Horizon Zero Dawn was Assassin's Creed, and then this is the one everyone wanted it to be. My biggest gripe with the game, though, is I think there's a lot going on, and maybe too much in the story. There's just a lot. There's Silas, can't talk about this because I don't want to spoil it for people.
I listened to Evan and Otaps talking for far too long about the game, so don't worry.
Well, I'm not going to spoil it for the people listening, for our beautiful listeners. But I think there's about like 4 plots happening all at the same time, and it's maybe just a little bit too much. It's a little too busy. It reminds me of that I feel horrible saying it like this, but it's better than this. But, you know, usually like the show that gets the first season greenlit, and it's really good, and then they're like, oh, you get a second season, and it feels like the writers didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
basically every show on the CW.
Yeah, so I feel as if this show has a little bit of that going on it. It's like there's so much going on. I almost wish they concentrated just to say, guys, you're getting a 3rd season. Just narrow the scope a little bit more for me here. But I do like what I'm seeing overall. Is just, I get confused on names and the people and like the tribes and all that kind of stuff, because there's too many of them and it's hard to keep track. I'm like, which one are you? Which tribe are you from? Like, I know what you look like, but where do you fit in the scope of like the hierarchy and all that crap? I don't know. And that's the crazy part. And that's really hard for me to keep track of. So I feel as if I'm not consuming this plot like I should. That's all. But I really like it.
With the story.
Yeah, but I really like it. I still think it's better than the first one overall.
So, important question. Do you now own a platinum trophy for the Order 1886?
That's an important question.
I do not.
Get back playing that goddamn game then. Otherwise, Liam and Evan will have no respect.
I tried to find all the collector. I have to look at what trophies I missed.
I mean, there was just collect the chapters and go and get them that way. I believe it's very easy to.
Well, I mean, 2 of the chapters technically you wouldn't have to even, because they're just cutscenes.
It might take you just like an extra hour of gameplay. It's pretty.
Yeah, fun. The crazy part is on the trophy. Well, the one that if I don't, I'll go back and look. But if I don't have a trophy for seeing all the collectible, like all the pickups, for looking at them, I probably won't go back because there's no way to track which ones I grabbed and which ones I didn't. So I'd have to go through the entire game picking up every single collectible again. Because I tried to do that.
Well, if you want respect from Evan and Liam, that's something that you'll need to do.
Who says I want respect?
I
don't care.
I was sad that
There's
I
that
missed.
as well. You could always take that approach.
I was sad
I
that
really
missed
want
the
respect from
episode
Evan
where-
and Liam, but
I'm taking
I'm not willing to play through that goddamn game again.
I'm taking the Keith approach and
That's the only
saying
trouble.
F it. How are you doing, Liam?
Oh yeah, I'm doing good. I was just saying that I was sad that I missed the episode where everybody decided to go on about how underrated the Order 86 is. Because
It's sad that you missed that because we're not going to revisit it.
no,
Do you
we
want?
can't.
Do you want to give your cliff notes?
Well, no. I don't. But I'll just say that I had a very satisfying time with that game, just because I bought it for £40 at launch, played it, platinumed it, literally in a couple of days, and then resold it for £32. So it literally cost me £8 to buy that game.
I mean, I had no complaints when I bought it full price. I had no complaints.
Oh no, but it's nice to have a huge gain like that. £8 for all of that. I still would have bought it full price and would have been fine if I hadn't have sold it. But it feels good if you're just paying £8 for that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I was saying before the show that I'm taking a break from playing like the brand new game, just because I after finishing Elden Ring, which I loved,
You drank
I
the
don't really
Kool-Aid,
want to play
everybody.
stuff.
You drank the
Yeah,
Kool-Aid.
exactly. I mean, I've always been in the Kool-Aid of these Souls
He
games.
showered in the Kool-Aid.
Elden Ring was special though.
Now the question
I don't
is,
really...
which flavor Kool-Aid is Elden Ring?
Oh, that's hard for me
The
to
nice
say. I'm not American.
I mean, do they have Kool-Aid in the UK?
No.
Oh,
We have no
really?
idea what you're talking about. When people say Kool-Aid, we just think of that, which wasn't even the drink that the people drank to kill themselves at that cult thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I will have to, after this, I will show you. Do you know what Kool-Aid is? Have you seen Kool-Aid before? Like, not in person, but like, have you seen it on the internet before?
Roughly, I know what it is. It's just kind of powder you mix with water. And
Have you seen the
it makes
Kool-Aid
flavors.
Man?
Yes.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
also seen the Kool-Aid
That's
Man
what I think of when I
fight,
think of Kool-Aid.
Macho Man Randy Savage on Death Battle.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say just because it's a Souls game, I'm going to go with cherry Kool-Aid. He's drenching himself in the cherry Kool-Aid.
Fair enough. I mean, if I had to pick one, I would say maybe it's a nice lemon and lime.
I don't think there's
It's
a
real
lemon
nice.
and lime Kool-Aid.
Well, tastes like lemon and lime.
Well, if there was, Souls fans would think it was the best. Right, moving on.
But I would say that I think it was definitely the best Souls game I've played. And because I don't agree with everybody that Bloodborne's like the best Souls game. My personal favorite is Dark Souls 3. But this game is just great, and it's hard. I took a break because I didn't want to directly compare what I would play next directly with Elden Ring, because I think I would be a bit unfair to it. So instead, I just got on my PlayStation 3, reinstalled a bunch of games, and just decided to play like MotorStorm Apocalypse, and I even played Little Big Planet for a little bit. A couple of other games, most recently.
You could have played some different indie games. You could have played quite a lot that wouldn't have given you the same experience.
Well, actually, Keith, what you'll find is I felt like getting my PlayStation 3 out just because Sony won't deliver backwards compatibility that isn't through the cloud. And that's the only reason. Yeah.
What are you talking about? You could download PS3 games to your PS4.
No, you can't.
They're PS... Oh, sorry. Thinking PS2. My bad.
Yeah.
Yes, and for balance, here we go. For balance, damn you, Game Pass, for not telling me that Streets of Rage was going to leave. And then when I tried to play it this afternoon after lunch, it says, please sign in with an account where you own this application.
Welcome to Netflix.
Bastards.
Oh.
Also for balance, Square Enix are shit. Right, beers.
Right. Well, do you have a beer?
I do. I have two.
Okay, once you're
in the
done with your
spirit-
beer, I forgot one thing forgot to
I,
mention
I,
earlier.
I just want to say, Keith, I think we could have a whole conversation about how shit Marvel's Avengers is, and then you could just go, and for balance, Square Enix is shit.
No, you have to say, and for balance, Tomb Raider is pretty good.
No, Square Enix is shit.
as a company, Square Enix are shit. Right. So I have this, which might be a bit difficult for you to see.
No, we can see it.
So for people
Nice.
for people listening, this is from a brewery in London called Anspach and Hobday, and it's a kind of old-fashioned, very kind of bluey purple and gold label, which I loved. I saw this in the shop and thought, I've got to get that. The style of the beer is a London ESB, which stands for extra strong bitter.
We definitely shop with our eyes.
Yes, you do. So there's that one, which is 5.5% ABV. Or I have bright and colourful Dag Mango Pale Ale. And this is from Denmark, from Frigga. It's going to be Frigga Brewery, but I'm not going to even try and pronounce that in Danish. So what do you think first? This one's 4% ABV, and it's going to be fruity. So I'm guessing
I would go the fruit beer first, just because it's smaller.
fruit first. Size matters not.
Yeah.
Judge me by my size, do you?
Liam, do you got a beer?
No.
That's
no,
okay.
As usual.
That's okay. I don't have one either.
I lose with German beers the other day, though.
That's okay. I got my spot on my Lucky Dog in the fridge, but I'm not bringing it out because it's so early in the morning. But I forgot to mention one last thing. It's been a busy weekend for me, fellas, because I also got to finish the series, which now is listed as my third favorite show of all time because they finally finished the show, and that is Ozark. It launched its final part of the final season, and it is fucking amazing. It is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. It is that good.
You like the ending? Do you like the ending?
I do.
Awesome.
I
That's
really
good.
do. Some people have compared the ending to The Sopranos in a good way, and I really, really like it. I really, really like it. So
I tried to watch 3 episodes of Ozark, realised that I didn't like any of the characters at all, so I never went back to it.
That's the point. You keep going. Like they come off as so unlikable, and that's kind of the point. But then just keep watching. I really highly recommend you keep watching. It is now on my list of hierarchy of top 3 shows of all time. It is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it is South Park, and now it is Ozark. It is better than Breaking Bad. It is trying to people compared it to trying to do Breaking Bad, but I think is doing Breaking Bad better. And in a different way. It is so good.
In some ways. More consistently good than Breaking Bad, I would say.
I think the way they handle well, it's only 4 seasons. That's the other thing. It's 4 seasons. So good. It doesn't have any lulls. They finished it how they wanted to finish it. They wanted it done on a 4th season. It's so good. It's just I literally binged it for a night. Like night into the morning. That's what I did. Is all I did was watch Ozark. I couldn't stop watching. It was so good. Please go watch it. It's amazing. How the beer?
Maybe. It's surprisingly delicious. It's got this. I wasn't expecting this kind of creaminess to it.
Oh,
it's got a really nice mouthfeel, and like a slight like a cream soda type taste to it after you get the initial fruit hit.
Oh, okay. I dig it. That sounds like my kind of beer.
It's surprisingly hoppy as well, so it's not like a really light fruit beer where it's just all fruit and nothing else. It's
got some complexity to it.
That I would drink another one of straight away after finishing the first one, and that's a seal of approval from McWomble. Ding.
Moving on.
So it's that time of the month, Pinch Punch, first of the month, which means we do a review of my arbitrary pick of some of the top gaming news stories of the previous month. So And I to make these more interesting rather than just let's talk about the news, I come up with some rather daft and cryptic clues to see if people can get them. So, Mitch, starting with you, what am I talking about here? CEO, NFT, OMG.
That is a Square of Enix.
Yes, it is.
Who stated that they are in the NFT business. They want in. That it is the future. Everyone else is too dumb to see it. We know where the future is. And not only that, we're too smart to say that our games should be for Japanese people, even though most of our game sales happen in the West.
Yes, this is the story of Yusuke Matsuda doubling down. Is this doubling down or trebling down? How many statements has he made about NFTs?
I think he's doubling.
Like quadrupling down at this point.
He's infinite down. He'll bet the whole Square business on NFTs. Square Enix goes down via NFTs blowback.
Well, I'd like to see what his NFT portfolio is like, because no one else seems to care that much. Even EA have pulled back on NFTs.
But EA is not Square.
Yeah, but EA really, really, really love money. And if they could find any way of gouging players for a few more bits of coin, they'd find a way to do it. And even EA have pulled back on NFTs. Yes, I also loved loved in inverted commas the comments about Japanese studios making games for Japanese people.
I'm gonna take a weird stand on this one, but I'm assuming we want to tackle these separately. I have a weird stand on that comment, but anyway, let's go to the NFT one first, right?
Well, do you think? Well, let's tackle the second one first.
Okay.
Do you think there was an element of being lost in translation?
I
Yes.
a little bit, because I think like Square Enix is a known Japanese developer. I mean, they've been making Japanese games for years, and there's a certain style, there's a certain aesthetic to a Japanese game that makes it unique, that people love. And they as an example of this one is, I forgot what the studio's called. It was like Square 3 or something like that. It's the one that's just making their small games that are Japanese turn-based RPGs. And I forgot what titles they made recently. God, I wish I went to go look this up beforehand. But like,
well, you didn't know what was might have asked, so you would have been searching for a while.
But anyway, they are making games that I think people want to play. I think people do find Japanese games fascinating and do want to play them. And yes, they do.
The bit that I found confusing, I don't necessarily disagree with the comment that he made, is that yes, you should focus, if you believe that there is a specific audience who like a specific thing, yes, you should make that thing for that audience. What I didn't understand is the seeming total lack of regard for the wider consumer base.
I think there is.
You lot are irrelevant. Thank you very much.
No,
even though we're making Forspoken, which is more of a Western style JRPG, that was the thing that really confused me about it. Because is he not undermining the game that his studio is going to be putting out in a few months' time?
No, not at all. You can also see as Square Enix has an advanced portfolio of Western studios. They make Western games. Like it only is just, he's just only saying like we want the studio to be able to focus on Japanese games made for the type that are the Japanese audience, for people like me who are fascinated by Japanese things and Japanese games and Japanese media and all that kind of stuff, that I would want to play it, right?
This is where I think the element of lost in translation might come in, because that didn't come across in the statement.
That's what I felt like the statement was meaning more than what people were grabbing from, because people are just trying to grab and make a headline out of it. But Liam, you were going to say something.
I think it was a bit lost in translation, and I also think that I think the CEO is a bit wish-washy on everything as well. I think he sort of says,
we do need to say for balance, Square Enix are shit.
Yeah, Square Enix are shit. And I think he's saying things, and he hasn't even thought fully through exactly what he's saying. Because when he said it, I thought, oh, he's talking about IDOS and the European arm of the company. Well, not European, I guess Western arm of the company. You know, which I think they're probably going to sell at some point, maybe. But he sort of went on and started going on about how we can't do FPS games as well as the Western market and things like that. And I was like, oh, well, okay, then maybe they're kind of learning from some of their prior experiences they've done, you know, trying to make certain FPSs that are just terrible. You know, because it's sort of like, I don't know, I feel like it's something Capcom are very good at, which is making games that are sort of, I guess, appreciative of Western culture, but still very Japanese, as opposed to Sonic's. Resident Evil, pretty much, which is pretty... No, Resident Evil is an ode to American culture in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but it's not a Japanese game. It's a Western game. It's very much a Western-style game.
Nah, Resident Evil is as Japanese and B. It's just like Western culture through a Japanese lens.
I kind of see where Liam's coming from.
I get what I can see where you're coming from, but I think I get what I see where you're coming from, but I think
they've literally said that was their like what they were going for essentially multiple times.
I'd like to see that. I don't. Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I think if anything, they've gone more. I think they've gone more Western, especially with the type of people they've brought in as the series has grown. Sure, could that have been where they started? Yes, but that is not where they are now.
Well, I was sort of talking about the inception of the franchise.
Oh, but we're talking about like right now. This is what Oh, in the studio I'm thinking of is Tokyo RPG Factory, from Square Enix, that is focused on making specifically RPGs, JRPGs.
That sounds like a terrible name for a studio.
Well, they made the I Am Sensuna is one of their titles. But anyway,
when I hear that name, it doesn't give me good connotations about the quality of the product that they might be churning out. It makes me think that they're churning out product.
To my knowledge, all their games have came out were pretty good. Not bangers.
This is the man who unashamedly hates JRPGs out of our group.
Well, and then also like Keith, these are small titles. Like these are ones that could run on the Switch. Like they're top down JRPGs. Like they would remind you of playing Final Fantasy VII back on the PS1 era. That's kind of what they were, the style. But anyway,
I don't want to dwell too much on this.
I know,
so Mitch,
I know.
If you wrap us up and then introduce NFT Gate.
Okay.
Volume 2.
But I mean, the main part, the only thing I would agree with you, Liam, on Capcom would be Devil May Cry. I think that is more of a Japanese game trying to be more Japanese with some hints of Western culture built into it, because they're going for the action movie type style, but it is very Japanese overall.
There's a slice of pizza hiding his private bits.
but yeah, I just think overall that's the only thing I wanted to say. But I think that it was just misconstrued, and I think people just made it to make a headline, because I don't think he really means they're only making these games for Japanese audiences, because also Japanese audiences like Western things. So
also you should point out, like, when he says he's making things for Japanese audiences, maybe he means that when they make things for Japanese audiences, the sort of other audiences around the world sort of take to that, because they want games that are made for Japanese audiences. I don't know.
I mean, people,
it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, people find inspirations and find other cultures fascinating to the point they want to play things or drink. Heck, I drink things from. I buy ramen from not American grocery stores. I buy ramen from our Asian grocery store here in LA, because I want to eat the stuff that they eat there, because it's better. Like, and that's okay.
You've got Danish breweries making mango flavored pale ales. Denmark not known for its mango growing.
Yeah. So to NFTs.
Yes, NFTs, or as we like to call them on here, no fucking thank yous.
I need to remember that. That's quite good.
That's my favorite one. I think I'm going to use that one too.
I did that when I logged into our Twitter account, and it came up as saying Twitter users can buy NFTs. So I said NFT stands for no fucking thanks.
Is that what Elon Musk is going to do when he first acquires Twitter? Is just like, no fucking thank you.
Well, Twitter already has NFTs integrated into it.
Yeah, it does. And that's what I tweeted back at. And you wouldn't believe the number of people contacting us saying, do you want NFTs? I'm an NFT creator. So did you even read the tweet? No, you fucking didn't. Right. Mitch, NFTs and Square Enix.
It's the wrong business
Doubling
move.
down.
It's a wrong business move. I get why they're trying to do it. I get trying to make fetch happen. But it's not going to happen. I think if it's the wrong audience to try to make it happen, that's what I should say. There is an audience for NFTs. It's for people that are not very, but for the technology type people that we are, it is not for us because we know exactly what it is. We know, we talk to each other. We are very verbatim in the world of technology. And so it is the wrong audience to try to sell to. I get if Square Enix would try to put it on like a basic mobile game, maybe they'll have some success with that and maybe that's what they're veering towards. But if they put NFTs in a AAA game, ooh, they are going to get eaten alive, and I would not be shocked. Actually, you know what I wouldn't be shocked by? Maybe they're making this move because of their Marvel agreement they have right now. Like, what if there are built-in Marvel NFTs from Disney that Disney wants some NFTs to be sold onto their Marvel properties to make more money? Like, who knows? Like, that
Disney do love money.
That could be like, what if that's the thing? What if the next Kingdom Hearts has Disney NFTs in them that Disney wants to have them sell? And maybe it's not a push of Square Enix thinks NFTs are the future, but they have to save face so they could use Disney as a brand with their games because they are closely associated with Disney.
I don't think that Disney would be fussed about that.
If the first game that has NFTs is either a Marvel game or a Kingdom Hearts game, I'm telling you, it's Disney. It's not Kingdom. It's not Square Enix that wants the NFT.
But in the statement, he was clear to say that he believes that NFTs could be used as a vehicle to encourage people to make more content for ongoing games. That's not his exact words or the exact translation. If you want to find that, go and find it. I think
it's going to be for a basic audience of like mobile. I mean, I can maybe see that work in the Japanese market because of the mobile market, but I don't see them in AAA.
If this ends up being in Square in Final Fantasy, I can see it getting some more traction. But outside of that, I think that people are just going to let this thing die. Please, just lock it in a room. Forget about it.
They're pretending he never said it.
Yeah.
So maybe this is part of their grand plan to revive Babylon's Fall after its immediate death after release. You know, NFTs going to resurrect Babylon's Fall from the ashes.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And on that note, the note of death, we shall move on. Liam, which company wasn't backward in bringing an announcement forwards?
Wait, say that again?
Which company wasn't backward in bringing an announcement forwards?
Oh, Nintendo, but Xenoblade Chronicles 3 being brought forward, I assume.
Yes, it is. In the shocking event that a game announcement release date actually got brought forward for once, rather than pushed back. That's the boring part of the story. Liam, what news story hit 2 days later?
2 days later, that Splatoon was coming out in September in the same release date.
Nope.
Splatoon 3. That was something that happened, though.
It was something that happened, but why do you think Nintendo maybe made some announcements about release dates around about the same time that another news story broke?
Oh, because of the them trying to stop. Well, it might have been two things, actually. One of them was them trying to stop people from unionizing their company. And the other one was basically worker abuse, wasn't it?
Both part and parcel of the same thing, but yes, you're on the right lines. Nintendo of America had a formal complaint lodged with the National Labor Relations Board over the treatment of contracted workers.
Quick connection to our past story. Reggie Fils-Aimé, from former head of Nintendo of America, made a statement saying NFTs are the future of games.
Oh, Reggie. Go back to Pizza Hut, you bastard.
Where's that money coming from to pay for him to say that?
I don't know.
Yeah, so a contractor who'd been on the books with Nintendo of America for 5 years was never made an offer of permanent employment or long-term contract. So on a rolling contract for 5 years, allegedly they tried to join the union to get better working conditions for themselves and other contracted workers, and they were immediately terminated. Nintendo said that they were terminated on the breach of NDA, but what else are you going to say other than, yeah, we got rid of them because they tried to unionize? We don't want that shit happening. But the complaint, some of the things that were mentioned in the complaints were contracted workers weren't treated in the same way. So if there were corporate activities, all of the Nintendo employees could go on all of those, but the contracted employees had to stay in the office and work. If they wanted to go, they wouldn't get paid, whereas full-time employees would. And so there was a basis for this contracted worker to approach a union to say, is there an opportunity of unionizing? And was fired for it. You may see a theme running through today's quiz.
Yeah, that's a tricky part of a contract worker in the games industry in general. Now, in defense, not in defense, because I am not a fan of the contract working, but some companies do invite contract workers to get involved in the extracurriculars and will still pay them, just to be fair and balanced here about those kinds of situations. So Nintendo's the opposite, which is the no fun clause in the contract, and some companies do allow you to take part in sanctioned events within the company, even though you're not a full-time employee, and they still pay you during that time and they make you feel welcomed. And that's
so there's a law in the UK called statutory employment rights, which is if you are contracted to work in the same role for the same company for 24 months, you are by law obliged to be treated and given the same contractual terms as someone who's been permanently employed by that company.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there is more protection here than this than was granted to these contracted employees.
Yeah,
Nintendo of America.
Yeah, in America we have gig and contract work can be very rough because there's not a lot of extra benefit, and there isn't something like what you have listed, which is like after 24 months you automatically become basically a full-time employee. We don't have anything like that here in America. So
right, Mitch, which Meta COO covered up for the CEO they were under the covers with?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to the robot that is Zuckerbot.
So, Liam, do you want to have a random guess?
I don't know. When you said Meta, I thought of Facebook, but then I thought, are you talking about somebody who speaks in the Meta? Does this involve Elon Musk in some way?
No, it doesn't involve Elon Musk. This is the story that Sheryl Sandberg twice used her position when she was employed as an executive in the world's second biggest advertising company to leverage the Daily Mail in the UK to not report that an ex-girlfriend of billionaire devil-horned bag of shite Bobby Kotick had taken out a restraining order against him.
Whoa.
So the Bobby Kotick and Sheryl Sandberg were dating for a period of time, and twice during their relationship in 2016 and 2019, she leveraged using her power as an executive of this advertising company for the online platform of the Daily Mail not to report that Bobby Kotick's ex-girlfriend had taken out a restraining order against him. So anyone who wants to champion for the rights of billionaires, fuck off. They have got enough people and enough money to do that for themselves. No one should champion billionaires.
And Microsoft should be ashamed to give him a golden parachute.
I just say, I think that there needs to be more of a distinguishment between what Microsoft is doing and what they simply can't do in this situation. You know,
well, the contractual terms of his golden parachute were agreed between the executive board of Activision Blizzard King and the shareholders of Activision Blizzard King. Microsoft cannot interfere with that, otherwise they would be in breach of contract.
Yeah,
but
not to mention,
in doing it, they give him a golden parachute because it doesn't matter that hold on. It doesn't matter is like in the context, he wouldn't have that much of a payout if he didn't have Microsoft buy them out. That's the point. Microsoft they are indirectly giving this man a golden parachute. If they did not give him the money, he would not have the golden parachute.
He would, Mitch, because they would have sold to Facebook or Tencent or NetEase.
And all of them, and I would be ashamed of those too. That's I don't care. I don't care.
Because quite frankly,
Liam, sorry. To wrap up Mitch's point, is there are two elements to this. Something can be legal, it can also be shit.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean.
That's where we are with this.
It's totally fair. It's totally fair for me to put shame on Microsoft for doing something legal, and it's a piece of shit move.
Yeah, I don't think they deserve any shame.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that their action in buying them has resulted in a contractual clause that was already agreed and outside of their control.
And
we'll wait and see what happens. But in a lot of cases, I say in a lot of cases, I see Microsoft as rescuing all of the employees at Activision Blizzard from the terrible management that they've been stuck with for years.
This is where Mitch says terrible management. Have you seen 343 Industries?
Have you seen 343 Industries? Have you seen?
That's true, but all of those people have jobs. Have you? All of those people have jobs. They're paid well and they're not abused.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
To what we know of. We can't state, and that's for every company. We cannot.
Well,
they're not abused.
None of Microsoft first-party studios or even third-party are thinking about unionizing. Where you've got multiple studios and development groups within ABK who want to unionize.
But I'm just saying it's you know, I get the business decision. It's the right business decision. I just think if I was me reading that. And I was the CEO, I had unlimited amounts of money, and it didn't matter if we did this deal or not. If I read that he was getting a golden parachute from the board, I would have pulled out of the deal. I would have been like, "Screw it! I'm not doing this deal. I'm not allowing you to get a golden parachute."
Yeah, morally, I think you'd have a platform to stand on. However, I think for economically, you'd then be ousted from your position in that organisation because you would be your fiduciary duty. You'd be failing in it. And a lot of shitty things happen because people hide behind fiduciary duty.
Yeah, I'm fine getting fired for doing the right thing, and people would hire me for it.
I'd also like to say that I think there's also this other battle going on in the games industry right now. What we're trying to protect all of these workers and these IPs from, quite frankly, other more nefarious interests, and I do think there's
like Elon Musk
when it comes to that as well. Well, you know, as a matter of perspective,
no, I would never trust anyone who's named after a bad smell.
I like Elon Musk. I don't love him, and I certainly don't trust him, but I like him.
I mean, he's likable. Because we really don't know him. We can't really say we like him. He's likable on TV or whatever.
We don't know any billionaires, and quite frankly, anybody that puts all of their trust in someone like that and thinks that they're going to give them exactly what they want are going down the wrong tree, because he could turn around the very next day and give them exactly what they don't want.
Yeah, if we trust billionaires to solve all our problems of the world, our world would be shit. Because most
theirs
of them
would be spectacular. Right,
yeah, theirs would be great. We would all be shit.
Talking of spectacular, I've lost who I'm meant to be talking to. Liam, we'll just come to you.
No. Yeah, it's Liam, because he had to guess.
Liam, whose pay rise is being painted as a union failing?
A union failing? Somebody's pay rise? Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. I have heard this though.
Anything?
Oh wait, actually.
It's got to be
No.
Bobby Kotick getting a
I was
second
thinking
golden
Bobby Kotick
parachute
as well.
Getting a second golden parachute.
They did allow some union action in their company. So
Phil Spencer said, "Here you go. Take your second one. I gave you one already. Take your second one."
So, Mitch, since Liam obviously doesn't know, do you want to have a guess?
I have no idea.
Right. So this is the story that QA testers at ABK are all getting.
Oh,
a $3
sorry.
an hour pay
Yes,
rise.
they're all gonna be paid at $20 an hour. They're all getting full-time employment with benefits. Correct. Yes, I did read about this, but I don't know the but part.
I think you said that earlier.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, if you're not part of the union, correct. Yes.
Right. How much more blatant can you get in terms of trying to paint this as anti-union?
Well, it's. I wonder what Phil Spencer will do once this pops up. Is he going to pay them all?
Yeah, well, you have to, because the contractual arrangements would already have been agreed.
No. I mean, once Phil takes over, will he pay the union workers the same rate?
Well,
that's going to be his first. That's going to be his first test about this whole unionizing around him when he picks up all these studios.
Right. So there's two things about this, which is people are trying to paint this as being, oh, the union have failed because the people who joined the union aren't getting the same pay deal. That's completely the wrong end of the stick.
No, they're succeeding.
They're succeeding because if they hadn't unionized, they wouldn't have got offered the pay rise.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like a double-edged sword. Well, and also I gotta say, legally wise, that technically they have it's not when, it's if. It still has to pass the Exchange Commission.
Well, one of the is it Raven Software have been granted permission to unionize?
No. I'm speaking and Microsoft taking over for taking on Activision Blizzard. They still have one more step to go. They haven't passed the Exchange Commission. They just passed the stakeholders meeting. So it's if, not when. But anyways, if, I'm curious how he's going to handle it. But yeah, it's a tricky part. It's yes, they did get the pay raise because there was the unionizing of workers, but also at the same time, it will also be interesting because this is just an interesting place to be in general. And for someone like Phil Spencer, if everything goes through and he does take over all of Activision Blizzard King, ABK, it will be very interesting how he handles the union, because they're right now at a very interesting point in the union right now, which is they have unionized. Now they have to agree to a contract. And the difference is these companies, especially big multi-billion dollar and multi-million dollar companies, tend to drag these out for so long. They can drag these out for years without getting a contract, without getting an agreement. There's no legal obligation to say you have to have the contract done by this time after you unionize. There is no timetable. So unions sometimes last for years without having a contract. So it'll be very interesting to see how, if it does drag and golden shooted ashamed Bobby Kotick doesn't find a way to agree with these employees, and it gets
bag of shite.
Yes.
I take some issue with him being ashamed. I don't think he'd ever be that.
But anyways, and if it gets transferred, and if nothing happens, and it gets transferred over to Phil Spencer, I'm very curious on how that will be handled. If he's going to end it very quickly, is he going to let it keep going further? I don't know.
The board of ABK are dragging this out until the acquisition goes through. It's not a merger acquisition, and then the reason that they're doing that is that's Phil's problem, and I can absolutely think from the stories that you don't hear about Microsoft and do hear about Microsoft that they pay well, they're inclusive. And they,
but there's a difference. This is a union.
It doesn't matter as long if you go into. I've dealt with unions in my work, and as long as you go in and deal in good faith and you're open and honest, which is an overused term for lying and bullshit. But if you do go in good faith, you will get a good deal for both you as an employer and them as a representative body. And the only times that I've found it to be, can be supremely challenging, is when the union representatives dig their heels in and just refuse to negotiate. That's the only time that I've ever had any difficulty with dealing with unions. But most of the time, they're there for the benefit of the wider group of their representative body. So they want a good deal for their workers. Their co-workers who aren't unionised have been offered that. Their base point now is, we want that deal. And then if they say, we want that deal plus, but what they can do is say, we want that deal plus for all of the workers, not just us. And that's where the leverage on behalf of the employees comes in. I don't know enough about labour laws in the US how long they would allow this to drag on for. But if I were in Phil's position, I would say, go and get a deal done. I don't.
It will be
send someone in who knows enough about the situation that can deal with them directly, and just say, get a deal done. Here's within the realms of possibility that we would want to agree something. If you agree it within that, fine, just get a deal done. If it's anything outside of that, then we might have to think again. But I can't think that this group of individuals who seem to be reasonable in just asking for better pay, security and conditions are going to say suddenly, no, we want everyone to have a hot tub that they can work from, and we want champagne on tap, and we want all of our salaries quadrupled. I don't see any of that.
I get that, but I think the big difference here is, I'm just looking this up right now so I'm getting my facts straight. There is no, this is the first video game union.
Mm-hmm.
And in the tech world in general, I just look up statistics. It's like less than 7% of the entire tech industry has a union. I could list right now in the US, there's only about 10 unions in the tech world. This is very different. This is very new to the tech industry. And I'm very curious, and this is going to set a precedent that potentially could have other places, not saying like all of a sudden everyone's going to union tomorrow, but it does set a precedent of what unions will be in the future in the games world or in the tech market. And so I think but I think what I'm trying to say is, I'm very interested to see what Phil does, because he has to be very careful here too, because if he sets this precedent that all these other companies can't hold up to, it could get very messy very quickly all around the industry. That's all. That's all I'm just trying to say.
At a simplistic level, they're unionising because of a failure of management. So if you can step in and say, here's how we want to deal with you, not just as the representative union, which in another statement from ABK, they said, we don't want all of our staff to be beholden, I think they said beholden, or I might be paraphrasing, editorializing even, beholden to the whims of 10% of the workforce. But 10% of the workforce is basically 100% of all your QA testers at Raven who you treated like shit. So going back to the point is, they're unionising because of a failure of management. If you can send someone in and say, this is how we do things, and we don't want any of the experiences that you had previously to be replicated, the idea of a union isn't inherently bad. And I don't think it's something to this big bogeyman in the cupboard of America. You've had unions for donkey's years. It's just most of them being run by the mob.
Let me just push back just slightly, because I think the approach you're thinking of may be a little incorrect. In this case, part of the reason, yes, is bad management, but I think also the partial reason is it's about them being contract workers and not full-time employees, because they work full-time and they're contracted. And that's a huge thing. Like this adjustment of making all Blizzard BAG
Activision
BAK, sorry, BAK.
BBK.
I already forgot the acronym. But anyways, making them making all their
I'm the one who's been drinking, by the way, not Mitch. He's just been drinking coffee.
A tea technically. But anyway, by doing that, they made all their employees full time. That is huge. That is huge in this industry. Even Microsoft has contract workers. Like this entire games industry for the low end are all contract workers. Now in this change of having these all employees become all full time, along with the union, that's part of the reason why they did it too, was because some of them were promised full-time employment and they're like, F you, we're going to fire a bunch of people, all that kind of stuff. It's that because it's not the failure of management.
They lied to their employees.
Let me just, I'm almost done. It's that yes, it is part of it is I'm not denying that there's the failure of management, but it's because they're contracted puts them at risk to be able to be let go so quickly and so easily in a snap of a finger when there's so much value to them being there. That I think that it could change everything in that context, which in the context of being full time. And I think that's one thing that every union is going to push for.
Yeah. I understand what you're getting at. I don't think that you've got enough, and this is I mean this with absolute respect. I don't think you've got enough understanding of how unions actually work. Because technically, someone from a different company across the other side of America could technically join that union, unless there are some different laws in the US that I'm not aware of. So
I believe it is separated by there is.
Is it state based?
Well, there's chapters. There's chapters, and the chapters are by state. But there is a union that can cover that can help represent people. But their contracts are all different. They're not the same contracts.
So in how it would work in the UK, and then we'll allow Liam to talk. How it would work in the UK. Say if Liam, give me a name of a UK-based studio because I've just gone blank.
Rocksteady.
So if Rocksteady's QA testers wanted to unionize and set up a specific QA testers union, anyone who was a QA tester at all, whether you were a full-time or contracted worker, could join that union, and they could be represented by that union. So your contractual status is not exclusive. It doesn't exclude you in any way from joining the union. But obviously, I'm sure that the labor laws in the US are going to be much more complicated than it would be here. Equally, if there were a UK-based texture designers union or a graphic artists union, exactly the same. If you're full-time employed by a company, you could join. If you're contracted or even if you're freelance, you can still join the union as long as you're paying in to be a member of that representative body. So that's how it would work here. I'm just assuming that US and lawyers, it's going to be more complicated.
I'll just say that someone had to be Matt today, and I think it was me.
Everyone has to be Matt sometime.
Exactly. I think because I'm more on I understand what you're trying to say, Mitch, but I'm more with McWomble on this. But the thing is, I think we're overcomplicating an issue at Activision Blizzard that's actually pretty simple. You know, they started a union because Activision just doesn't treat contract workers fairly. Like, those people are advocating for becoming full-time workers because Activision can't be trusted to treat them well. Like, they made a whole bunch of people, like, basically upend their whole lives and travel across the country to work at Raven.
On the promise of better terms and conditions.
on the promise that they'd have full-time work. Yeah. And they just fired them. And that's despicable. And it is a complete failure in management that they're even in this position. Because, I'm sure contract workers expect that they're not going to be given the same kinds of standards that full-time workers are. But to be treated like that is just despicable, and that really is the whole reason for the union. I don't think it needs to be more complicated than that, really.
I do agree with you. It will be. I do agree with you, Mitch, because you can't see who technically I might be looking at. That it will be interesting to see how Big Phil deals with it, but I do genuinely think he will get someone and just send them in and say, get this all agreed. Not at any cost, but I think they want it done quickly and they want it done fairly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. I would handle it I would try to get that done within the first 2 weeks.
I would say if that didn't happen, I think it would be very uncharacteristic of Microsoft under Satya Nadella. I don't really
it could get real messy real quick if it goes bad.
I don't think it will, not under that kind of leadership. I think.
I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying it could.
It could. Then that would be the biggest news story of next year, I imagine, if it does happen.
Yeah, the Activision rubbed off on Microsoft rather than the other way around.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, it takes time to make change. This is not going to be fixed in a day. This is going to take many, many years if they take over, to be able to rectify everything that these studios have done to make mistakes. Like, it's going to take time, and I think that's what people are not going to. That's why I think people are like blanket being like, "Oh, everything's fine now." Once they take over, it's like, no, this is going to be rough. It's going to be rough for a while.
I can see there being a lot of middle management changes as well. So there's anyone who used to watch The West Wing might recognise this phrase. Anyone who doesn't know what The West Wing is, it's an absolutely brilliant political drama. If you're right-leaning at all, don't watch it. It wasn't made for you.
Oh no, The West Wing's great.
Yeah,
come on, the dainty little flower right-wing people, I'm sure, can enjoy it.
Yeah, but there was a phrase in that I noticed in my own career, which is post hoc ergo propter hoc. Before, therefore, because of it. So if you are a middle manager at ABK at the moment, you should be feeling somewhat concerned about your career path, because if anyone has anything bad to say about you, you could be out on your ass. Or equally, if anyone has anything to say that you didn't stand up for your members of staff, or didn't treat them with respect in any way, or were complicit in what was going on because you were watching your own backside, you could potentially find yourself out in your ass. And in certain situations, that will be warranted. In others, it won't be, because even middle managers will have edicts come down from on high that they will have to fulfill, and they may not like it, but they've got jobs. They need that income. They need to pay their mortgage. They need to look after their kids and their families. But when a new regime might step in, they might see, well, you were here when it was bad, therefore you are bad, therefore you are gone.
Yeah, or they were your mentor, and the person that was your mentor was one of the bad ones. Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, we associate you with
by
them."
Association. Yeah, it's happened. I've seen it happen in my working life, where new managers and new chief execs come in and it's like, "Oh, you were here when it was shit. Okay, bye, because you were part of the problem."
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say, it's just like a small thing, but I think if Microsoft was smart, they would literally sack a shit ton of people, get Mike Ybarra, make him the head of Activision Blizzard, and then try to bring Jen O'Neill back and make her the head of Blizzard Entertainment.
That would be an interesting move, and say, look, come back and create the company you wanted it to be when you left.
Without having to contend with a bunch of misogynistic arseholes.
I don't know if that would come off good. Like
Bring it down.
I like the move. I personally would like it, but I don't know how it would come off to them. Like being like, come back and make the company. You're just saying it because I don't know.
Well, let's wait and see. I think we've got a bigger hurdle to get through first, which is what the hell happens when Xbox All Access finishes and I don't get an email from Xbox saying, "Dear Keith, thank you for being a loyal customer. Here's 24 months of Game Pass Ultimate for the price of 18." That email's not coming. They're going to try and gouge me for 24 months.
Yeah, of course
I'm
they
not
will.
going to be happy.
What did you expect?
Yeah, you're gonna have to cancel it and just get.
And you drank the Kool-Aid, Keith?
Buy a PlayStation and then sign up to the platinum tier of whatever and get shitty down streaming games. Right, Mitch. Last news question. Which celebrity got a sexy surprise from their blocky game?
No idea.
Oh, sorry. Can I say?
Yep.
I can't remember who it was, but somebody was suing the people that make Roblox, I believe, because
it is a Roblox story.
Yeah, they had I don't know, like their image in the game in a sexy way. I don't know. Is it like Kim Kardashian?
It is Kim Kardashian.
Ah, yeah. Oh God, yeah, I remember they had her sex tape on it.
Liam,
a sex tape was in Roblox, a children's game.
Anyone watching or anyone listening, you need to go watch the show just for the moment when Liam realized, because his face had 3 expressions on it. The oh, whoa. I could. It was a perfect one to like capture and send to artists to say, emote this, please. Rafa, if you're listening to this, please capture that image. We'll use it as a GIF.
That would be Liam's next trolling GIF on our Discord channel.
Yep.
So yes, this is the story that Kim Kardashian's toddler, I think their child is.
Is
so
it
2 or 3 year old,
south, west, whatever,
was playing Roblox and then took the phone.
Much worse.
Took the phone to their mum, and because they saw their mum's image on Roblox, and she was very glad that the child can't read, because what it said is play this game for a link to the unreleased portions of Kim Kardashian's sex tapes.
Oh, wow.
That kid almost needed a shit ton of therapy.
Oh, no, they'll need that therapy in later life anyway, not because of this.
I mean, seriously, like they already
the bill's already high enough as it is.
Their father's Kanye West. They need plenty of therapy already.
But can you Adam and fucking Eve it? Okay, this could potentially be really bad for Roblox.
Oh yeah, they could get shut down.
Oh, the Kim Kardashian could go on every morning TV show saying this game is promoting sex to children. Could you imagine if I was the CEO of Roblox? If I was the CEO and the executive board of Roblox, I would be on our moderation people. Right? Oh no, they got rid of all of those people, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. It's like literally the what's it, the hot word of the day in politics right now with and I'm only saying it because that's what that side is saying. It's the right side is saying this, but everything is located to child pedophilia, child predators, and all that kind of stuff. This literally feeds into their thing of like, oh, the left loves Roblox, and now it's a sex ring. And it's like, oh my god.
So this isn't the first time that Roblox has been told to take content down for it being sexually explicit.
Mm-hmm. We talked about it. Actually, we talked about it on this show. That's why you watch the show.
It's Roblox is quite possibly taking over from Activision Blizzard King as the scummiest game company that there can be.
I don't know. I mean, the CEO, I don't know, is
well.
add
Let's
to what we
list
know.
off some of the things that Roblox have and haven't done. So Roblox were told that there were sexual predators using their own hosted chat platform to groom children who were on there wanting to make games. So instead of boosting their moderation, what did Roblox do?
Fire them.
Roblox shut down their own servers and said, use Discord or use other popular collaboration tools. So rather than protect the children who were trying to make games on their own platform, they just pushed the problem aside. So Roblox were told about children being exploited in the sense of being directly employed under contract. And we're talking minors, so people under the age of 16 were getting sent contracts for employment to make levels and games in Roblox that then the people who are sending them the contracts would make the profits on the sales of. What did Roblox do? Nothing.
It's your turn, Liam.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, Roblox has this fucking coming. Like, they've been given ample opportunity to fix their shit, and they haven't. Honestly, I kind of hope Kim Kardashian fucking goes for them. To be honest,
I do as well.
Yeah,
I can't think of a better person to shut down a company that's involved in child exploitation.
Well, you know who's going to buy them up.
I think what you said earlier, Mitch, about Tencent has Tencent written all over.
No, I'm sorry. What has it written all over it is BAK is going to buy them up because Bobby Kotick needs to have more scandals inside his golden parachute.
Well, he needs it to cover up for the shit that he's been doing. It's okay to threaten send death threats to a member of my staff. Sorry, Liam, carry on.
Sorry, carry on.
I just can't miss an opportunity to shit on the billionaire devil horn bag of shite Bobby.
And I had to crack some more jokes.
He couldn't let any possible doubt creep, and he has to be the biggest piece of shit, like in the games industry.
That's what his parachute says on the way down. I am a piece of shit. Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah.
In gold leaf.
Yes. Yes. Painted gold.
I think what you said earlier, Mitch. I think sometimes the problem with these things becoming political, which they often do, and let's be honest, the right is definitely going to try to lean into something like this and make it political.
Which is ridiculous.
Quite often we get distracted by the politics of these things that we forget about the problem at hand that needs to be dealt with. I think. Because everybody's sort of reaching out and trying to be like, oh, yes, I'm the person that solved the problem. And it's the same thing with Disney. And I do think Disney needs to be dealt with in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of horror stories about...
Well, Liam, the funny part is, in the U.S., no one says that. No one says, I dealt with the problem. Everyone just says, this is an issue, and this is why you need to vote us in. When they're not trying to say, we'll fix the issue. I've never heard one of them say, we will fix it.
But then if you fix it, it can't be a problem that you can campaign for against in future.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, sorry to make this political, but Ron DeSantis is basically proclaiming that he's fixing the problem with Disney in Florida, and I'm sure he'd use that as a political means to probably become president in a few years.
And now it's backfiring on his ass because now now Disney says, well, we can't, you have to now pay our debt, which is $1 billion. Have fun with that. Where's that money going to come from for the taxpayers?
I don't think that's necessarily a problem that's, in the bigger picture of things. I don't think that's that big of a problem for him.
I get what you mean, but again, like his plan. But he's a conservative.
Roblox being shit.
He's a conservative. A conservative needs to be financially, financially with their money, and spending $1 billion just to screw over Disney. I don't know if it's worth it. And a conservative.
Well, all politicians suck.
Anyways, about Roblox, they suck.
But,
Roblox is shit.
Roblox definitely deserves what's coming to it.
I cannot believe the number of potential scandals that Roblox have had, and it's not reached the level that either they've faced
I mean, it
either,
hasn't hit the
either
news.
civil litigation or criminal charges, because the amount of times that they've been told to take down explicit content, the amount of times they've been told to take down copyrighted content, the amount of times they've been the news agencies have ousted them for the things that I've outlined around child grooming and then child employment. And then just saying, oh yeah, we care about our user base. There are only so many times that you can get away with this bollocks.
Well, I think the crazier part is, and this is, I mean, okay, I'll admit, since I've been working for Naughty Dog, I have been able to keep up with the news. I've just been really busy because of work and then personal, and like, you know, trying to form my life schedule is very different now, just in
Mitch,
general.
Has it made you a healthier person not checking the news so often?
Actually, I kind of miss being able to check the, like, I mean, I just haven't been up on the news as I usually am. And the one thing I will say is I had no idea this story existed. I feel as if this is something the games news industry, media, needs to push hard to say, wow, how is this acceptable? Right?
That is a fair point indeed.
This is something that, you know, when we talk about journalism and the responsibility of, you know, reporting the news in ways that is to, you know, mete out this corruption, mete out this horribleness of these companies. That's what some of these companies, some of these media businesses built their companies on, and I don't even hear a word from them. And like this should be the biggest news story in the industry. Like this should be, especially because they could go and say, this is not just a one-off thing. Look at these past events that have occurred with this game. Roblox is dangerous. Roblox is not is not protecting minors. Like that is something that you want out there because that is something that is very important. Like I just don't understand. I don't get it. This is one where it's like leaks about games coming out, but yeah, like leaks come out about games in the news, and that's getting more traction than Roblox literally has opportunities for child exploitation and working, has moments where you can find porn with children finding porn on their game.
Not fat farmer MPs finding porn looking up tractors. That's something completely different.
Yeah. How the hell is that not making the news? How? Heck, Shane never even talked about this on Game Face. How the hell is that shows how much this is not in the ether. And it needs to be in the ether because it's so damn important, because it's kids.
And this is why I think this could be the thing that kills Roblox. If
I hope it does.
Kim Kardashian gets on her social media platform and kicks in
and says, don't let your children play this game. Like my only way of thinking Roblox could save their ass, and it's only if Kim Kardashian is and she might be able, she might be the one to do it, is she teams up with Roblox to say, oh, they're safe. Like if they made changes and she would team up with them to go like, this is a good place for kids to be. But I don't see that happening. That would be a rare, that would be a, unless she paired up with them, she invested into Roblox and then like she worked with them to make it safe, and then she was a spokesperson. Who knows? But
and then got a kickback from all the Kim Kardashian themed levels.
Right, exactly. But like but I hope she takes them down.
Can I picture her being that shallow?
I mean,
I don't want to.
Have you met the Kardashians?
I was just say, Kim Kardashian's kind of in that stage of her career where she's trying to find something important to
meaningful.
Sort of, to be a part of essentially, and
that's why she lawyered up.
Come at the right time.
Well, she's a fresh new lawyer too, so she could sue them herself.
Well, didn't she support the campaign for a first-time drug offender in Tennessee who got life in prison? She led a campaign to get her sentence reduced.
Yes.
So she can be a bit of an SJW, but this is the thing. It's like if she really wanted to go for them, she could, and she'd have all the grounds in the world. And if she paid a private investigator, not a massive amount of money, there's so much dirt out there on Roblox. She could bury this company.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would be very scared right now if I was Roblox. I'd be very scared. And there's nothing they can do.
I
They've done it.
absolutely hate the Kardashians, but I must admit I kind of respect a few of the things I've heard about Kim Kardashian doing in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, I will say like if there was a time that she would do it, it would be now, and I would not be shocked if she did it.
Screw it, I'm going to say it. I hope she does.
Me too.
I hope she absolutely buries Roblox and rinses the executives who've been raking in money off the backs of young people and children and scam artists and copyright infringers. And now there are some people who've used that platform for what it is, and they've made a lot of money. Good for you. But if that's the kind of attitude that the people at the top are going to take, they deserve everything that's coming. And hopefully, if they do get shut down, and that was your source of income, you'll be able to repurpose your talents somewhere else and get a job elsewhere in the games industry. But my God, Roblox is scummy.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe I had a rant about it, but I can't believe I'm still flabbergasted. I've not seen a news story about this.
You know, I kind of feel like playing Roblox just because I don't understand.
Want to see Kim Kardashian's unreleased porn tape?
Is this the one with Reggie Bush?
Google search couldn't solve, but
because it was with Reggie Bush was her first one, wasn't it?
I've no idea.
I've never seen it. I've just heard of it. I don't know. I don't watch that kind. Stop talking.
Drink tea. Stop talking.
I don't find Kim Kardashian that attractive. No offense. Like
I should go looking for a YouTube video because I'm just curious as to the appeal of the game because people don't understand Roblox is.
As a bisexual man, I do not find Kim Kardashian that attractive, so that's why I'm not looking for her sex tape.
Well, I mean, I don't either.
Roblox is like a cross between Minecraft and I'm trying to think of what the other thing was where you actually create the games yourself. Dreams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I haven't hopped on there recently. I've been meaning to do that just because like I've been trying to check up every 6 months on Dreams because some people are making some really cool stuff on there.
Except that Minecraft and Dreams protect children and don't post porn or sexually explicit content because they have moderators.
Much respect to Media Molecule. They're a great company.
Yeah. Well, and then I mean, you know, who owns Roblox? Like, are they a subsidiary to, or are they just their own company?
I think they're their own company.
Okay, that's the thing. Is like also like, what's the difference between Minecraft and Dreams and Roblox? Two of them are owned by top billion-dollar companies.
I'd be really interested to know what will happen if this lawsuit gets started because we know next to nothing about how Roblox Corporation is operated, and it's just a very sort of out of the way, unfocused on company that nobody ever really talks about, you know, because the games industry people don't even talk about because it's just sort of over there in its own space.
I just wrote corp.roblox.com and it's the first thing that comes up on Google is contact us. I really want to press it and say, how much are you shitting bricks that Kim Kardashian tries to shut your company down?
Well, I was going to say the one thing
Do you have a statement for the Pixel Pints podcast?
Oh, that would be cool. Ask him. Seriously, I would say, hey, the Pixel Pints podcast is looking for a statement on the accusation. Accusation. Thank you. I was gonna say acquisition, but that didn't make sense. Accusation that Kim Kardashian's child found Kim Kardashian's sex tape on your video game. What do you have to say about it?
Well, they already released a press statement saying they take the safety of children, blah 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 blah. But
it could have been written by a computer AI, and you wouldn't know.
Alexa, please write me a statement about this sex scandal here on Roblox.
I love the line in Any Given Sunday where Jamie Foxx says to Al Pacino, "Is it fuck you, coach? I ain't buying your brand." That's how I feel about that statement.
You know what Alexa responds back? She says, "Do you want the Bobby Kotick version?"
What the version that he paid someone else to do, or the version that he paid someone else to talk through. It was actually his words. Right. That's it from me. I think we've gone through enough scummy stories about the games industry.
We forgot to ask you, how was second beer?
Oh, it was lovely. Oh my God. Evan, if I could send these to you without them probably getting stolen at customs, you would love this stuff.
I want some.
Yeah, it's living up to the ESB name. So extra strong bitter. It's like really bitter, really malty. I'd hammer about 3 of those in a row and then say drink responsibly.
And on that note, we out.
Yeah, it looked like you were enjoying that bit.
How quickly it disappeared.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that was fun. We learned something new. That Mitch may or may not watch porn.